Okay, hello all you crazy people out there. My name is Michael, I like wizards and dragons and making games, and I am a YouTuber. It's time for a little channel update. This is February 2021, and I've been back at making Game Maker videos for about a year now. It actually kinda doesn't really feel like that long, but I think one of the things we learned in 2020 is that time officially has no meaning. I didn't actually expect to get as much done in this last year as I did. Not only have I made a bunch of videos going over the fundamentals of 3D stuff in Game Maker, I've also made a bunch of videos on shaders. I did not, when I was first planning on coming back to doing this, expect that I would be doing this much with shaders this soon, let alone crazy things like toon shaders and whatever. I've been having a lot of fun doing this, I hope you all have been too. So, the first thing that I'm going to do is actually take a little bit of a break. I'm not going to just stop posting Game Maker videos, but I'm thinking I'm going to spend the rest of February and probably most of March posting simpler, less 3D looking things. When I say simpler, I don't exactly mean things like back to the basics, welcome to Game Maker, this is how variables work, this is how if statements work. At least it's not going to be exactly that. I just mean that I have a few video subjects lined up that are a little bit shorter, that don't take quite as much pre-preparation time. You'll see what I mean next week. I think the computer scientists among you are going to be happy at any rate. The Tower Defense series should continue as normal, and when I say should, I mean assuming that I don't, forget what day it is, and realize it's Tuesday without having a video ready to go again. Viewership for that series has slowly been dwindling, which I can't say I didn't expect, but to those of you who have been sticking around and watching it, even though some parts of it haven't quite gone as smoothly as I'd like them to, thank you. Starting games is always a lot more exciting than finishing them, but I hope to have this wrapped up about a year after it started, more or less. I don't want it to go on for too long, but you know what they say, in that the last 10% or so of polish always takes by far the most work. Moving on, starting sometime in April, I want to get back in gear with some of the more advanced 3D-ish things. I want to finally make those 3D vector math, matrix math videos that I've been mentioning on and off for a while. I've been kind of hand-waving away some of the more mathy parts, and I don't want to do that forever. I do want to eventually actually talk about the mathy parts. I like math, in case you weren't able to tell. And the more that I want to do with shaders, the harder it gets to avoid in any case. In addition to that, 3D optimization is a pretty big thing, and while there's a good reason why I haven't talked about 3D optimization at all in this first year, that being that a lot of people get hung up trying to optimize stuff right off the bat, and it just results in them never actually finishing anything. I do want to start talking about optimization soon. There's a number of different things that you can do to a 3D game in Game Maker to make it run faster, and I want to give them each at least a little bit of attention. That's probably going to end up being a mini-series of probably about 5 or so videos. There's also the Colossus in the room of the subject of 3D collisions. I actually made a couple videos early on about 3D collisions using an external library, an external DLL. The bullet collision system generally works pretty well, but for some people it's not really an ideal solution for one reason or another. And I have been kind of teasing the idea of doing something in native GML for a while, and by now it feels like I'm kind of overdue for that. So as a bit of a small warning, this is a huge subject, arguably even bigger than 3D rendering in a lot of ways. It's definitely not going to just be a one-and-done video. I'm actually in the middle of planning out a series that's somewhere between 18 and 20 videos on 3D collisions. And that's just collision detection, that's not even things like physics responses. But there are also a couple of what some people like to call cheating solutions to 3D collisions, which are also worth talking about, which will also get their own videos. So if 2020 was the year of drawing stuff in 3D on my YouTube channel, and shaders and stuff, 2021 is probably going to be the year of 3D collisions. I'm looking at my calendar over here, and if I start posting videos on that in the first week of May, and put up one every other week, this is probably going to run through the end of the year. Oh my god, what have I gotten myself into? Anyway, those aren't the only videos I'm going to be making this year, obviously. I'm going to try and space out the 3D collision videos a little bit, just so that there's, other stuff being posted, in case someone's not actually interested in hearing about 3D collisions for an entire year straight. There are some other general 3D things that I'm planning on doing. There are some general computer graphics videos that I'm planning on making. I'm sure as further Game Maker Studio 2 updates come out, I'm going to be making videos periodically about the cool new things that are introduced in each of those updates. For example, I'm recording this video a couple hours after making the 9slice video public, and boy oh boy did that one take off. I know 9slices are a much less niche subject than a lot of the things I normally talk about, but holy cow, you guys were all over that one. And there's also a couple general answers to general questions that I see people asking a lot in my comments and elsewhere. It should be a fun year is all I'm gonna say for now. The last subject for today, Patreon stuff. So I've been running a Patreon page for, about 10 months now? And it's done decently well, all things considered. As always, big ol' thank you to anyone who's pledged at any point in the past, present, or future. I've played a little fast and loose so far with how the tiers work, and now that I've had a little while to get used to it, I'm going to try and codify it a little bit further. I have been making monthly future plans posts, although I didn't actually make one in January, mostly in anticipation of this update video here. In addition to all the stuff that's already there, I'm going to formally add video requests as a perk for the $7 tier since, well, I do kind of get a lot of those. Submitting a request doesn't necessarily mean that I'll definitely do a thing or that I'll do it immediately, but it will put it on my list, and it will bump the topic up in my priority list a little bit over other less requested things that I just do occasionally for fun. Speaking of which, never mind. Also, and I guess I'll mention this here, but a little bit of an informal system that I've been using is assets that I release on itch.io or other things that I release on itch.io are generally provided free as is, but if you want tech support, help using them or anything, then it's $5, and that extends to Patreon too, if your total contribution is greater than the $5. And that includes the Toon Shader library or anything else in the future which might just have an actual price tag on it. The last thing for the Patreon page, I've also added 2 goals. I've written down 2 goals. I've put down for $100 separating videos into chapters, which are those little title card things that pop out when you mouse over the video playhead, to make them a little bit easier to navigate. And $750, I will transcribe captions for each of these videos. I feel kind of bad locking that second one behind a paywall, but I can't actually financially justify spending that kind of time or money doing that because it does take a lot of time. Or if you're going to pay someone else, it does take a lot of money, which I don't have at my disposal right now. So we'll see how it goes. I think that's it for the Patreon. If there are any other tier reward ideas that anyone wants to see, let me know. I don't want to go too overboard with this. I don't have a Discord server or anything right now, but we'll see what happens in the future. But the future can deal with itself when it actually comes. Until then, my name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. I also like playing games. Bravely Default 2 comes out in 6 days, and I'm very excited to finally get to play it. The link to the Patreon page is down in the video description. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Zenith, Augustin Molina, Stephen Loney, the 8-Bit Warrior, Indie Punch, Jilly, Robert Tester, Catherine Kirkshank, Edward Holt, Posho, Perpetua, Yona Guernsey, David Key, Brian Lyon, Jason, and Emily Koyo for supporting these videos. If you want your name in the credits or to hear yourself shouted out at the end or any of the other things I mentioned in the video today, head on over to the Patreon page in the video description to join the fun.